Kelso Bridge collapse 100 years ago ranks as the state's deadliest. When we think about bridges, it's hard to avoid profound symbolism. In a sense, transportation is life. Living, we move, and reaching obstacles, we cross them, often with a bridge. Untold millions of vehicles cross bridges worldwide each day, so when a span such as Baltimore's South Bay Key Bridge goes down, taking lives and causing massive disruption, we pay attention. What is our state's deadliest bridge disaster? You won't find it in populous Puget Sound. Instead, it was in southwest Washington. The January 3, 1923 collapse of 1907's Allen Street drawbridge, connecting Kelso with fledgling Longview west of the Cowlitz River. The official death count was 17, the real number likely higher. The fatal factor was the icy Cowlitz current that was running 15 feet higher than normal. So forceful was its flow that some bodies were swept downstream for blocks, with others thought to be pulled 2 miles south to the Cowlitz confluence with the wider Columbia River. Triggering the calamity was a proverbial perfect storm of commerce, weather, and what some called neglect. In 1922, Kansas-based Long Bell Lumber Company began developing mills and Longview itself on 11,000 sprawling acres west of Kelso and the Cowlitz. That December, cut logs crowded the Cowlitz, pressing against the span. By January 2nd, the jams were cleared, but rain poured and heavy worker traffic persisted over the bridge. The next day, during rush hour at 5 p.m., with an estimated 100 people, 15 cars, and 2 horse-drawn wagons on the bridge deck, a steel suspension cable broke, causing the structure to twist and toss autos and people into the splashing, grinding horror of the river, reported the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. Rescues and recoveries extended into the next day and beyond. A former harbor engineer had warned of the bridge's poor condition, exaggerating his point by saying a toothpick might topple it over. Other officials and experts were puzzled by the cable snap. Nearby, a stronger new bridge was taking shape, but was not completed until 4 months later. Kelso will have the sympathy of the entire state in its dark hour, the Seattle Times editorialized. The distressing accident, which resulted in the loss of many lives, causes a shock which makes mere condolences seem futile and ineffective, even to communities somewhat inured to accidents of various sorts. The magnitude of Kelso's disaster has a stunning effect. Today, the need for reliable Cowlitz crossings in Kelso is filled by 2 newer spans downtown, plus a third closer to the mighty Columbia. But the lesson remains. Failure of a bridge can exact a lethal toll. In our first then photo, Kelso's Allen Street drawbridge, built in 1907 and shown on this 1909 postcard with a west-facing view, collapsed January 3, 1923, into the Cowlitz River, causing what stands as the state's deadliest bridge disaster. In our second then photo, workers remove one of 15 cars from the Cowlitz River the day after the Allen Street Bridge collapse. In our third then photo, an earlier version of the Allen Street Bridge, built in 1904, lasted a little more than 2 years. The postcard's reference to Catlin indicates a town on the river's west side that was absorbed by Kelso in 1908. In our fourth then photo, one of the cars just after they pulled it out reads an inscription on a photo from January 4, 1923, following the collapse of Kelso's Allen Street Bridge. Today, in this west-facing view, Bill Watson, curator of the Cowlitz County Historical Museum, stands on today's Allen Street Bridge. Above and right of his shoulder is a tiny park featuring the eastern abutment of the span that was under construction when the 1907 wooden Allen Street Bridge collapsed on January 3, 1923. At right is the Peter Crawford Truss Bridge, State Highway 4, and Ocean Beach Highway. To see Watson discuss the 1923 collapse, visit pauldorpat.com. Also today, Seattle historian Dan Curley stands at the eastern abutment of the Allen Street span, whose construction began in 1922 but was not finished by the time its nearby 1907 wooden predecessor collapsed on January 3, 1923. The new span was completed 4 months later and served until 2000.